Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And good morning to you. Hope you're enjoying your Sunday morning. It is time for the Saints versus Falcons Week 13 prediction show. And thank you very much for tuning in, no matter where you are, wherever you may be. Really do appreciate it. The New Orleans Saints will be taking on the Atlanta Falcons for the second time in about, 3 weeks? So this is a very interesting game. We all know that the Saints and the Falcons is always a recipe for very classic stuff. This is a bitter rivalry. You know, it goes without question. The New Orleans Saints fans do not like Falcon fans and vice versa. But these two teams are going to take on each other once again at 1 o'clock. And I do want to put emphasis on 1 o'clock because I guess the NFL doesn't look at the Falcons as a credible game for the Saints. But if you go look forward for the next 4 games, the Saints got games in prime time. So I just want to go ahead and leave it at that. But the Saints will be taking on the Atlanta Falcons inside the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, this time in Atlanta. And, you know, the last time the Saints played the Atlanta Falcons, I mean, they beat up on them, man. I mean, they dominated the game. The Falcons only scored 9 points. The Saints sacked Matt Ryan 8 times, and the secondary was looking really, really good. And the game plan by the Atlanta Falcons was just absolutely horrible. It looks as if they just watched the first 2 weeks of football, and they just thought that they were just going to throw the ball down the field all game long because the Saints secondary won't be able to stop them. But, I mean, as you've seen over the last 4 games that the Saints have dominated defensively. As of right now, the Saints are the number 1 ranked defense, and I think it helps now that, you know, you went up against a team that didn't have a quarterback. I mean, it helps you statistically, but this still is a good Saints football team. They have playmakers at every level. You look at the front four of the New Orleans Saints: Trey Hendrickson, Malcolm Brown, David Ayamada, and Cam Jordan. And now you have Sheldon Rankins coming back. Sheldon Rankins, who missed a few games due to an MCL injury, he is coming back. So that adds some depth at that position. And not to mention, you got the linebackers, man. You got Demario Davis, who is playing at a defensive player of the year type level. And then you acquired Quan Alexander from the San Francisco 49ers, who just came in and just act as if he'd been here all year long. And the secondary is starting to get it together as well. And then you look at the Atlanta Falcons, scoring 44 points against the Las Vegas Raiders on last week, bouncing back after that crushing loss to the New Orleans Saints, showing that they can make improvements. So this is going to be a team that wants to capitalize on what they did against the Las Vegas Raiders on last week. And this is not going to be an easy out for the New Orleans Saints. I don't look at the last game and see that, that's going to be how this game is going to turn out. I don't believe that at all. I think that the fact that the Atlanta Falcons did not know if it was going to be Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill starting in the game against them, I think it kind of confused them, and they didn't know how they were going to attack them. And then in the middle of the week, when the Saints announced that Taysom Hill was going to be the starter, it was hard for the Falcons to go back and try to, restructure the game plan. They just kind of, went on the fly. And I think that the Saints actually had a competitive advantage over the Falcons. But now that Taysom Hill has played in a game against the Falcons and he played in a game against the Denver Broncos, now you have film on him in order for you to try to scheme around him. Look, Taysom Hill did not have a good outing last week. I mean, he was like 9 of 16 or 9 of 18 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. 78 yards. He had a touchdown, a touchdown or 2 inside of that game. But he hasn't thrown the ball effectively. He didn't throw the ball effectively in that game at all. He was throwing the ball into double coverage. He seemed like he was a deer in headlights. It seemed like he was so focused on not making a mistake that he was making mistakes. He was holding the ball too long. And over the last couple of games, we've seen a decline in Alvin Kamara's production because of Taysom Hill. Alvin Kamara hasn't been a factor in the passing game since Taysom Hill has been quarterback. In order for the Saints to beat the Falcons, you got to get Alvin Kamara involved in some way, shape, or form. You got to, man. You got to be able to throw the ball to him in order for him to make people miss and also, take advantage of the screen game. And also, you got to get the running game involved. I mean, Latavius Murray had over 100 yards last week. He was running the football very, very well, and Alvin Kamara was too. So you definitely got to run the football, maybe set up the play action, throw the ball down the field. And Taysom Hill has to focus on other receivers other than Michael Thomas. Look, I understand that Michael Thomas is the best security blanket that you can find. I mean, he rarely ever drops passes at all. But there are other guys on the team that are playmakers. And in that game against the Denver Broncos, there were guys that were open. Marquez Callaway, for example, was wide open on the play. Emmanuel Sanders was wide open on a play. So, I mean, I know how it is as a receiver. I mean, you want to win, but at the same time, you want to be a contributor to the success of your team. So Taysom Hill is going to have to find ways to get other players involved on this team, man, other receivers other than Michael Thomas. Look, I expect the Atlanta Falcons to come out here and blitz a little bit more in this game. I expect for them to be a little bit more disruptive, with Taysom Hill as far as his timing is concerned. I think that they're going to have somebody that's out there, almost, just looking and scouting Taysom Hill, making sure that, he doesn't run outside of the pocket. And I just think that they're going to try to get Taysom Hill to beat them in this game. I think that they're going to try to shut down the running game of the New Orleans Saints, and they're going to force Taysom Hill to throw in order for him to throw the football, in order for him to win the football game against them. So as far as the Atlanta Falcons are concerned, you have Julio Jones and Ty Gurley. They have been listed as questionable, which I think that they're both going to play in this game. I think that Julio Jones, he is a incredible athlete. He's a great wide receiver. He has all the talent in the world. I think that he has some really great things going for him. Future Hall of Famer. He has been dealing with hamstrings, but we all know the type of person and type of player that Julio Jones is. He's going to try to go all out for his team. And as far as Ty Gurley is concerned, I think we all can agree he's not the Ty Gurley of old. He's been dealing with knee injuries throughout his career that's been causing him to actually live up to his full potential. But I feel like he is going to be a part of this game, and they're going to try to run the football, man. They're going to try to run the football, try to set up the play action, and also they're going to try to get the ball out of Matt Ryan's hands really, really fast. So I think that him holding the ball way too long caused him to, get sacked. Now, you can say that that's because of the good coverage that the Saints had in the secondary, but Matt Ryan still has to get rid of the ball. It's rather you got to throw it away, throw it at the receiver's feet, but you can't take a sack, man, because you're putting your team behind the 8 ball. I mean, this game was relatively close in the first half, man. I mean, it got out of hand in the second half. So if the Atlanta Falcons can kind of, replicate what they did in the first half of the game, maybe they could be a little bit more successful in this game. I'm looking for them to try to throw the ball, mostly 3-step drops, quick slants, just try to keep the ball moving and, try to limit the mistakes that they're making. As far as a prediction, I have the Saints winning this game by a score of 24-21. I think the New Orleans Saints are going to win by a field goal. I think it's going to be a very interesting game. I think the line is the Saints by 3. So I have it 24-21. It's going to be an interesting game. I think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to have a lot of fight, and Taysom Hill is going to have to go out there. He's going to have to make some things happen, man. He cannot go out there and hold the ball forever. And he cannot go out there and just constantly take sacks, man. You can't do that, okay? And as far as, the keys to victory, as far as, who I feel like is going to stand out in this game, the person I feel like that is going to stand out in this game mostly out of everybody is going to be Latavius Murray. I think that anytime you get a guy who gets over 100 yards after really he hasn't really been utilized as much, I think that builds up his confidence, and he wants to go out here and replicate the game that he had last week. So I think Latavius Murray is going to be beneficial in this. And also Adam Troutman. Adam Troutman has been coming on as of late. He has improved tremendously in the blocking game, and also he's a good pass catcher, man. He almost had a touchdown off an improvised play that Taysom Hill threw the ball to him. He almost got into the end zone. So I'm looking at Adam Troutman, and I'm looking at Latavius Murray in order, to say that they are going to do some real good things in this game, no doubt about it. Once again, 24-21 is going to be the final score in this game. I got the Saints winning this Week 13 matchup. But I would love to hear from you. What do you think about the New Orleans Saints versus Atlanta Falcons matchup? What is your prediction score? Comment down below, like and share this video. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com. Search the State of the Saints podcast. Facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast, and previous episodes are available on iTunes, Spotify, and iHeartRadio.com. Till next time, all I got to say is, who dat?